Hello, I'm Aishika Chakraborty.
And I'm Anjum Katyal.
And we are here today to talk about Maya Krishna Rao's...
Who is soon going to be spending some time with us in Calcutta.
Yes.
And doing different kinds of things which we want to discuss today.
Maya Krishna Rao will be here from 4th to 10th November. And she will stage her Loose Woman in Gem Cinema 7th November at around 6:45 p.m. And this program will be hosted by Pickle Factory in collaboration with School of Women's Studies, Jadavpur University and Dancer Street. But Maya will also be in chat with Rustom Bharucha on 4th November, and there is a workshop on 8th and 9th, and Ranjabati Sircar Memorial Lecture will be staged in Vivekananda Hall, Jadavpur University on 7th.
Very excited about the fact that Maya is going to be in Calcutta for a stretch.
Yeah.
And doing all these different things, from workshops to talks and discussions to giving a lecture and of course performing.
And given this critical moment of our everyday life and our national politics, where Maya is using her body as a political tool to stage a resistance against whatever is happening, I think Loose Woman is the most appropriate drama, the satire or socio-political cabaret that she phrased it, or said she coined the new term that's a social or political cabaret.
Yeah.
So this is a new kind of a venture, and Kolkata audience is really looking forward to it.
And something that we are not used to seeing.
Yes.
Because I've been watching Maya's work for with long gaps in between, but intermittently from, I think the first thing I saw of hers was Koldo.
Okay.
And and the one word that I always associate with her is power. And the woman's body as powerful. We often use other words for women's bodies like grace, gentleness and femininity. She is one person who really embodies strength and power. And I think the fact of her moving on to using humor, the word you used, that she's, it's a perfect word for her, the cabaret form, which I've seen her do, and I think you may have also seen Deep Fried Jazz.
Yes, I missed it.
So, and that I've seen that, and it's an amazing amalgamation of hard-hitting, satirical humor and the sort of stage presence and power with which she performs. And the amazing thing is the way she makes people think through her work.
And makes our audience always uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because she is a stand-up comedian, but at the same time, as you say, she juxtaposes elegance with belligerence. She mingles passion, power, and force of performance,
Yes.
and it's a different kind of a strategy to make audience think, to laugh, and at the same time to question what is happening all around us. And she's one such performer. She's a trained Kathakali artist, and Kathakali being a regal, stately art is a classical form. And when she uses cabaret in the same body, it is the libidinous act of a loose woman already. So Kathakali, the masculine, regal, classical art with cabaret.
Yeah.
So this kind of an uneasy mingling is also one of her.
And I remember the Kathakali, when she began training, I remember she mentioned that she trained in the masculine strand of Kathakali.
Right, yes.
And that also is a very important thing, because she brings that, as you said, it's a very stately and also very powerful presence-filled form. And she takes that. You never forget that what you're watching is a woman who is a theatre person, theatre creator, but also trained dancer.
Yes.
So the fact of the way she uses movement and the body is something that is a very, very sort of a way of pushing the envelope of dance and movement. Where you can see the influences and you can see the traditional areas from which she's drawn her movement vocabulary. But at the same time, she's doing something very unthought of and unheard of with it.
Because actually Maya, one such performer who begins her journey from street theatre back in 1970s and 80s with Dafa Number Swasi or Om Swana, an anti-dowry movement. She was part of the feminist movement all the time, and also Koldo, which is another landmark in her career. But I think increasingly she's, as you just said, that she's pushing the boundaries of performance. Now she's experimenting with cross-media, different kind of. She's, as an artist, she's really polygamous.
Yeah.
And also, who can actually think of staging Ravana in a Ravanan festival? So she's always for the otherness in our life. And as she said,
she never stands still.
Yes.
She's always, in all the years of her work, she's been sort of exploring different kinds of ways of bringing her, what she wants to say. Basically, it's not so much what she wants to say, it's how she wants people to think.
Right.
And as you mentioned, even the early stages of doing theatre as part of when the women's cultural movement was burgeoning in the early 70s, and they were discovering this new language of protest on the streets, protest in public spaces, how women's bodies can be used for this protest through theatre, and she was very, very much part of that. So there's that whole history in the which is embedded in the journey that
and because she started with street theatre, I think Maya's work, which is in protesting Iniva's rape and killing, I think she is very, very keen to perform at very unconventional sites. At campus of university, in Jantar Mantar,
even in bars and in pubs and in nightclubs,
yes,
and things
and where she uses different kind of costumes. Even in Loose Woman, her costume or in Deep Fried Jam, that's how she actually is coming out of the Indian nationalist, the kind of performance paradigm that the audience is used to see a classical or a woman performer. Being a woman who returns Sangeet Natak Academy in protesting against the lynching or rising intolerance of India. And in Loose Woman, what Maya is going to, actually we haven't seen it as yet, but here is a woman who always sidesteps, she sings, she desires, she disobeys, she breaks the law. So she is a woman who lives in our everyday. She always, she's very kind of maybe very ubiquitous, and she's London, but she's also the extraordinary.
K Rao, I first came across her name along with that of Anuradha Kapoor with the very start of cultural activism in the women's, sort of wave of women's movement of the early 70s. I was looking at campus cultural activism of that period because I'm researching, trying to write on Sardar Hashmi and the birth of Jalan. And I was looking at that whole entire atmosphere in college, in Delhi, of course in other campuses. We know what was happening in Calcutta, which was completely sort of on fire with the Naxal movement, especially on college campuses. In Delhi, what was the atmosphere like? What were aware and conscious young women doing? What were the issues they were concerned with? And that's when I got to sort of look at Om Swaha again and the sort of the surge of anti-rape, anti-dowry, anti-violence against women, work that was beginning through the language of street theatre. And street theatre itself sort of offered certain challenges, which Maya also talks about as an activist who was a theatre person, who was performing in public. How far do you push the audience? How do you use the language, the woman's body, in sort of suddenly sort of be performing in a public space which people are not used to? How far do you go? What is the language you evolve? So this was a very interesting period.
Yeah, actually I think late 1970s were also critical as far as women's movement is concerned.
Yes.
Because it was the time of Mathura rape case, and then we are going to witness another surge of second wave feminism. And to make women visible in the public space in different unconventional way, to make the audience or the spectators or the passerby.
And an unconventional audience.
To an exactly.
Going into
To
middle
make-
class colonies, performing
Yeah.
on the road, performing
Yes.
in campuses.
Mhm.
People who are not coming there expecting a theatrical performance, but they suddenly see something that's part of their lives.
And Maya is always, I think, she picks up issues and themes of her dance theatre or theatre from the street, from our everyday. And because even the loose woman, as she said, that she lives within ourselves. This is the surround that makes her, that makes her think about a new performance to make the audience think also in a different way.
Yeah.
So,
I think the word subversive.
yes.
Her work is subversive in the
Yes.
best possible way
Mm.
because it really subverts your preconceived notions,
Mm.
the kind of ideas that you may have accumulated over time, which have come to you from various sources, and it makes you question and think.
Yes.
And the unsettling nature, as you mentioned,
Exactly.
she
Yes.
unsettles you, and so you are left with questioning a lot of things that you have not thought to question maybe.
Yeah.
And even the fact of what you brought up about the costumes,
Mm.
the way she presents herself
Mm.
on
Increasingly,
stage, yeah.
especially during the last few
The cabaret
years, she's
shades,
changing
yes,
her
yes,
attire.
yes.
And I think her work now sits within the second and third wave feminism, where she's simultaneously talking about personal political thing and also
Absolutely.
challenging her the previous wave of movement, I think previous wave of feminism.
Right.
Because the way she is using loose woven strategy, she's challenging the commodification of the body in same, I think the empowerment agency and voice of different other women.
Yeah.
So
I think she's amongst the most interesting, powerful performers we have in the country today. And I think that even people who are coming from just a dance and movement background, who may not be coming from a background of feminist awareness or thinking, even for an audience like that, there is so much to take away from a Maya K Rao performance. In terms of just sheer training, technique, and ability to hold an audience, pace, rhythm, humor, and the way she designs the whole performance, the live music. There's a lot to, she really sort of learns, she's sort of learned and keeps exploring theatricality as a language.
she's continuously improvising,
Yes.
and there is no such static or fixed rule of what is Maya's way of performance. There is nothing fixed. I think her script is not always written. She always improvises when she has performed work at several spaces in several times. I think she continuously innovated, and there are so many works also. She started with the naval case and then went on to pick up the LGBT issues and also against the killing of not in my name, and there are so many. I think here is a person that she's there to address the latest political crime or the latest injustice happening to woman or happening to any human being, and she's a person who never lets us sleep comfortably, and a person who received the much coveted Sangeet Natak Academy Award did not hesitate to return it when there is a crisis.
Clashed with her principles.
So she's an artist who always lives with the social.
And this point we made about picking up the issue of the moment, the things that were burning, which one cannot and should not look away from or avoid. This is also very typical street theatre trait, which typically street theatres groups would pick up and go out on the street with something that is just happening.
Yes.
Something that they're responding to, that they need to immediately respond to. She has that immediacy of response, which makes her again a very interesting artist, because a lot of times you associate artistic production with long incubation periods. With her, there's a quick response, ability to come up with a work. So it's a very interesting intersection, as you pointed out, stand-up comedian, dancer, theatre maker, feminist, subversive, alternative artist. She's like, just in herself, a very, very
yes. So it's a
compelling
protest theatre,
figure.
and sometimes I think that Maya Krishna Rao, I think as a theatre artist, she taught for many years in National School of Drama, and also developed a new curriculum, which is in Sircar University.
Yeah.
So she worked with children and
The education is been something she's been it's been very close to her heart for a long time. Working with children, in the education space.
So I think she, as you just mentioned, and her many critics have pointed out, that she can work at many spaces and work with so many kinds of people. And I think Maya's Koldo is a major landmark in her career as a solo artist. From street theatre, it's a major jump also. And Koldo, where she embodied both the father and daughter, the raped Sakina. And she's often said that it is more difficult to embody the pain of the father who was looking for her daughter, was missing at the time. So you have seen Koldo.
I was fortunate enough to see it a long time ago as a solo performance, and I remember it was in a very unconventional space, because I remember the memory of seeing her performing in front of us. We were all sitting around, standing, and the power and there was a kind of sparseness to it. There was nothing extraneous, nothing there was no embroidery to that performance. It was very, very stark, very strong, and very different from what I had seen till then. Sort of ideas you go to a performance with. The story was poignant, very touching, very disturbing, and with the end thing of Koldo, it was really something that one had read. I'd read the Manto story, and it was already a piece that I knew was going to be very hard to take, because it's so disturbing. But the stark power with which she rendered that, as the single body moving in front of you, and it was something quite different and unforgettable. And I think for me, that is what has remained of Maya's work, is there's a deep honesty, sort of a deep conviction and honesty at the core of how she develops the work. Which shows in the movements, which shows in the choice of how she presents it, from costume to. So it's that is something that I feel makes her work really resonate over time. When I saw the cabaret work, Deep Fried Jam, a couple of iterations of it.
That's very interesting, because Maya also evolved her style, because from minimalist to really grotesque in Deep Fried Jam, or in Loose Woman. She deliberately changes her kind of appearance, her style, her attire. So, being a Kathakali artist, she's always, I think, she knows what role a Arya plays. So there too, I think her costuming, how she uses her attire, her dress, as I think that is also, I think, in Deep Fried Jam, where the entire costume, you have seen Deep Fried Jam.
I've seen Deep Fried Jam, and again it was, what one saw sitting there was again unconventional space. It was some sort of a nightclub situation. There was strobe lights, there was a sort of runway, if I'm not mistaken, T-shaped, and she was very close
To the audience.
To the audience, we were all sitting and she was right there. And the sort of sharpness of the humor, all the sort of pop culture references which she was playing with, you know, the sort of the mental agility required of us also to pick up on the references and the humor. It was a very, as you said, very perceptively, a very different style, you know, from the earlier work that one has seen. What remained was the deep honesty and the strength of, and the sense of power and the sense of truly understanding what she's doing. You know, there's a sense of actually knowing exactly how she's using this form, what she's doing, that makes it very masterful. Actually.
Right. So that's
As a dancer, I wanted to ask you, you know, there's a dancer yourself, and given that this is largely, it's a sort of positioned as a dance festival, the entire Pickle Factory season 2, and that a lot of people are going to come here looking to see dance or something related to that. How do you see Maya Rao's work? We've been talking a lot about the content and the political aspect, the feminist aspect. As a dancer, how do you react? How do you respond?
I think that Maya is a kind of eye-opener for many of us, because she always takes her body, nothing's predictable. So I think Maya Krishna Rao is one such artist. She is a groundbreaker. Okay, because she had started a very different idiom, and where she, as we say, that she picks up the everyday realities of woman as the theme of her performance. So if as a dancer we are going to watch something pure Kathakali, she is going to disappoint us. Or as a theatre artist we are going to see something entirely verbose, entirely, but everything is scripted, the light is there, the performer is there, and she's going to say something, she's going to read out something from a already given script, then once again she's going to be she's disturbing, she's really disturbing. As we just started, that she uses sarcasm, satire, and also now cabaret as her tool of resistance, I'll say. Not only subversive, but she uses her entire body as a medium of social protest. I think she is not a very conventional Indian performer, Indian classical performer, or Indian theatre artist. She is both, and she is beyond that. Because when we are watching Maya Krishna Rao, we are always expecting something very unpredictable. She is going to question her own form. This is Kathakali, but this is also not the Kathakali we are used to watch. She is a trained dancer, and she never takes anything for granted. None of her Parshapada is wrong. So when she actually picks up her leg in Kathakali position, that is authentic, pure and straightforward. But once again, she knows where and how to distort the form. And I think that is the way she takes the pure classical form in a nightclub situation, and she dares to mingle it, to juxtapose with cabaret.
Yeah.
That is the form of a westernized, hybridized, blasphemous, what else? An act, cabaret is an act of a loose woman. So I think in Loose Woman, she talks back to the audience about a woman who lives in our everyday. She's maybe her mother, who is in the garden, and also a woman who flouts or doesn't care about the traffic lights. She oversteps, she sidesteps, she desires, she sings. She's transgressive, yes, as always. But what I find very interesting, where as a left radical performer or left radical feminist, Maya finds Gandhi very relevant, And she brings back Mahatma once in Deep Fried Jam, where she promised that I will win the salt of Dandi, I promise you, Gandhi. And here too in Loose Woman, she joins Mahatma's journey into darkness, and sometimes she replicates the walk of Mahatma. And finally, the audience stumbles into the valley of Kashmir, where she meets Asifa. We don't know what she is going to
do with this.
Yes, and what else it's in store for us. But she's going to surprise us, always. And we are actually looking forward to that unpredictable Maya Krishna Rao.
And I think the other thing is, there is, a lot of people think that, oh, this is a dance piece, I'm not really interested in dance. So this is, sort of political theatre, I'm not interested in that. But the thing with Maya K. Rao is if you go without preconceived notions of what to expect, just as you said, she has the power of a true performer to really
the
sort of...
power, passion and force of
absolutely. And yes, absolutely.
She's very passionate about her politics.
Yeah.
It's not that just do politics on stage.
Yeah.
Because she's really committed. She's committed to the woman on the street. Was raped just a fortnight ago. Work was actually done within some hours. Right, when someone from Jadavpur University invited her to state something in protest. So I think work was just an impromptu protest against whatever is happening in India at that time.
And her position is so firmly grounded in her commitment to politics of the left, politics of feminism, that to create a work like that, it comes out of a lifetime of context and commitment that she already has inside her and all around her.
So this now, as you just said, that when you saw Cold, that was stark, that was minimalist, and that was intense, and Deep Fried Jalan and also Loose Woman is very different, where she experimented with multiple media. There's live music, camera, and a huge, I think, screen. And we can see different Mayas at different spaces. So Maya Krishna Rao is not really a Kathakali artist or just a theatre person. She's very different from the conventional.
She defies labels.
Yes, absolutely. She defies labels, and what kind of performance she can present, we never know. She's always going to surprise us. And I think on 6th of November, in coming week, in Gem Cinema, she's going to stage Loose Woman, and Kolkata audience.
Again, an unconventional space. So that I'm sure the space will have a lot to contribute to that.
And we cannot lose this opportunity to see Loose Woman. And also Maya will be in conversation with Rustom Bharucha in Daga, Nikunj.
Daga, Nikunj and Widening Circles.
On 4th of November. In the evening. And also School of Women's Studies, Jadavpur University.
Lecture.
We will host the Ranjabati Sircar, another contemporary dancer.
Absolutely. He was also pushing the envelope in so many ways. I think you couldn't have selected a better person to do that lecture.
So Maya will be there again in Vivekananda Hall, and the lecture will start at 3 p.m. And there will be 2-day workshop, 8th and 9th of November. In Mrittika Dancers Guild, which was actually Ranjabati's
dream
home. Dream home. So really looking forward to the entire week-long performance and performance lecture and many more. So be with us.